Let's talk about that moment of truth every homeowner or buyer goes through, the appraisal. It all boils down to one single number that can make or break a huge financial decision. So what are the things that can secretly sabotage your home's value? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into.
So what is your home really worth? It's the big question, right? An appraiser is basically a detective. They're looking for clues about your home's condition, its features, and what's happening in the market right outside your door. If you can learn to think like they do, you're already way ahead of the game.
All right, so here's our game plan for cracking the code. We'll start with the basics. Then we'll walk through a house just like an appraiser would, looking at everything from obvious wear and tear to the deep stuff like the quality of the plumbing. Then we'll zoom out to see how things you can't control, like your neighborhood, play a huge role. Finally, we'll see how it all comes together in that final number.
Okay, first things first. Before we start pointing out all the potential problems, let's get on the same page. What even is a home appraisal?
Here's the main thing you have to get. It's an impartial, professional opinion of value, and it's not determined in a vacuum. The value of your home is almost entirely based on what other similar homes, we call them comps, have sold for recently. That comparison is everything.
Now that we've got the basics down, let's start our inspection. Seriously, the appraisal begins the second that appraiser pulls up to the curb. First impressions matter, a lot, and their eyes are trained to spot things you might not even notice anymore.
And the biggest red flag, any sign of deferred maintenance or neglect. To an appraiser, peeling paint isn't just a cosmetic issue. It's a clue that bigger problems might be hiding. A small leak under the sink isn't just a drip, it's a sign that there could be hidden water damage, rot, or mold. And you can see how all these things start to pile up, right? An old curling roof suggests potential leaks. Stained carpets and pet odors tell a story of heavy wear. Each one of these is a data point. Together, they paint a picture of a home that hasn't been well cared for. And every single one can chip away at that final valuation.
Okay, so we've covered the surface level stuff. Now, it's time to pop the hood and look at the core systems, the things that really make a house function. Or not.
This really lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you have modern, updated systems which add value. But on the other, that 30-year-old furnace? An appraiser sees that and doesn't just see an old furnace. They see a $5,000 replacement cost that the new owner is going to have to face. And you better believe they're going to adjust the value down to account for that future expense.
And this is so important. It's not just about what you updated, it's about how well you did it. A sloppy DIY kitchen renovation with crooked tiles and cheap materials can actually be worse than the old dated kitchen. Appraisers can spot unprofessional work a mile away, and it screams low quality.
And then you've got the stuff you can't see. In older homes, things like unaddressed asbestos or old lead paint aren't just value killers. For some loan types, they can be absolute deal breakers. These are major health hazards that cost a ton to fix, which can seriously drag down a home's value.
So far, pretty much everything we've talked about has been within your property lines. But so much of your home's value is determined by forces you have absolutely no control over. So now, let's zoom out and look at the neighborhood and the wider market.
Oh man, this chart shows something that drives homeowners absolutely crazy. An appraiser must use recent nearby sales to justify their valuation. So if your neighbor's house sold for a low price, even if it was a foreclosure or in terrible condition, that sale becomes a comparable property that can pull the value of your perfectly fine home right down with it. It's frustrating, but it's how the system works.
And you know the old saying, location, location, location. Well, it's true. A house backing up to a loud, busy highway is just going to be worth less than the exact same house on a quiet cul-de-sac. Appraisers have to make concrete dollar value adjustments for these kinds of things because they know it directly affects what a buyer's willing to pay.
We've looked at the condition, we've looked at the location, but what happens when the problem is literally built into the walls? Let's talk about flaws in the actual layout and design of the home.
Appraisers have a great term for this: functional obsolescence. I know, it's a mouthful. But all it means is that the design of the home is just outdated or impractical for how people live today. Think of it like a perfectly good house that just doesn't work right.
And these are perfect examples. I mean, think about it. Who wants to buy a house where you have to walk through one bedroom to get to another? Or imagine a 5-bedroom house with everyone fighting for one single bathroom in the morning. Today's buyers have certain expectations, and when a layout is weird or inefficient, the value takes a hit. This one is a classic. You can have the most beautiful, most upgraded home on the street, but if it's way nicer than every other house around it, its value is still capped by the neighborhood.
An appraiser just can't justify a price that's wildly higher than all the recent sales in the area. It's a tough pill to swallow, but you can't over-improve for your market and expect to get all that money back.
And that brings us to the grand finale. The appraiser has done the inspection, analyzed the comps, and considered all the factors, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now they put it all together, make their adjustments, and land on that single, powerful number, the final appraised value.
So why did we go through all of this? Because understanding this process gives you power. You can't change your home's location next to a busy road, but you can fix the peeling paint and clean the carpets. Knowing how an appraiser thinks lets you focus your time and money on the things you can control, and helps you set realistic expectations for the things you can't.
So, I want to leave you with this question. The next time you walk around your own home, try to see it through an appraiser's eyes. What story is it telling? Is it a story of pride and careful maintenance, or is it a story of neglect and problems waiting to happen? Because ultimately, that story is exactly what determines your home's true value.